May slamming the door to the bunker shut, Vigo scrambled to lock it. Hearing the beasts that were chasing him clawing at the door, he backed away. Seeing a small bed, the boy limped over and collapsed into a fitful sleep. Upon waking, he could hear the animals growling outside the door. Looking at the vault-like door, he figures it should hold. Now curious about what kind of things were in the bunker, he started to examine the room. Just the right amount of food and water for 11 months if I do it right? Vigo thought. Sitting down on the concrete floor, he sighed, hearing the barbaric creatures growling. This is gonna be a long wait? He mumbled before slipping back into his dreams. June groaning, Vigo marked off another day on the calendar he had found. That makes 1 month that I've been stuck in this hole? His heavy morning voice said to no one. Dragging himself into the minuscule bathroom, he looked into the sink. Upon seeing his reflection and the water that had collected, he grimaced. Not having found any razors, he had no choice but to grow out a beard. Shaking his head, he turned away to undress and take a shower. Stepping into the freezing water, he was now accustomed to, the boy started to hum a song of misery. July. Looking at the pile of empty food cans and water bottles, Vigo deflated. Voice starting to get scratchy from lack of use, he said. I could have sworn I was eating less than that. Now curious as to how much food he had left, the boy turned to the cabinet that contained his food. About to start counting out the cans, he was interrupted by a snarl. Vigo knew that the animals had gone hunting, but had decided not to try and run because there was nowhere to go. Now that they were back, the young adult had no choice but to stay. August, having heard the monsters outside go hunting, Vigo once again weighed his chances of escaping if he ran. His mother had always told him to listen to his heart above his head, but right now they were both telling him the same thing. Stay where you are. Don't die. Throat dry, the boy decided to have his half of a bottle of water for the day. Knowing he didn't have enough food to eat 3 meals every day, he chose to not eat today, so he could have twice as much tomorrow. Throwing the now empty bottle in a pile, he lied back down. September. Having realized that he could drink the water from the sink or shower, the adolescent had started drinking more water. Basking in his little victory, he smiled for the first time since he was trapped in the little room. Looking over at his food stash, he started to do a bit of math in his head. Vigo had stopped making off days on the calendar after the 3rd month, but from his food stores, he had been around 5 months. Opting to worry about his food later, he relaxed back into his triumph. October. After a while of figuring out what month it should be, Vigo elected for October. After choosing October, he made another decision. Since the boy was growing restless from lack of excitement in his life, he came up with the solution to add some spice for the holidays. It's not much, he thought, but it is something. Grabbing 2 cans of food, he exhaled, remembering there was no way to heat the meals. November. When Vigo woke to the growling of the monsters who he assumed had just returned from hunting, he felt off. Shaking it off as just being extremely lonely, he took the short walk to the bathroom to shower. Before taking his clothes off, the boy went to turn the water on. Twisting the water, he waited for it to start. Nothing. Trying desperately to try and get water to come out of the shower and sink, he began tearing up. Sliding down the wall, the youth could feel a sob rising in his throat. How could I be so careless? December. Looking at his food and water, Vigo was thankful that he had refilled some of his water bottles when he drank them. But how was I supposed to know that the water would run out? His voice was terribly raspy due to not using it. Hearing the hideous snores of the monsters, he started at the door. I'm going to get out of here soon. January. Lying on the floor, the young adult thought about how it should be somewhere near his birthday. Wanting to do something special for it, he contemplated eating twice as much as usual but chose not to. The food stores were dangerously low. Brightening up a bit at an idea he had, Vigo sat up. His now harsh, deep voice rang out, "Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you? Happy birthday, dear Vig." By the last line he was choking up, "Happy birthday to you." Thinking he was worthy of some extra sleep, the boy went and slipped under the covers. February. Thinking about the marker he had used to mark off the calendar, he searched the tiny room. Not taking long to find it, considering the size of the room, he held it in his hands. Impulsively he started to write on the hard concrete walls. His story. If Vigo never made it out of the room he wanted to be remembered. March, there would be no more food or water soon. After finishing catching up his story to the present, he started to write about what he did every day. It's the same thing every day. His hope was running out faster than the marker could dry up. April, he's sleeping more than he should. His food ran out. The water is gone. He won't last. May, pale and malnourished, the boy too young to die, took a shaky breath. His last.